Shirley MacLaine playing a woman that's very mean and thinks she's always right. Sounds like Shirley MacLaine to me. The Last Word, directed by Mark Pelleton, starring Shirley MacLaine and Amanda Seyfried. This movie comes from the Sundance Film Festival. It's an independent film, and basically this movie is about a woman by the name of Harriet Lawler, played by Shirley MacLaine, who is very old, 81 years old, and she is very lonely. She is a very mean woman who believes she's always right, and she really worked hard to get to where she is throughout her years. She owned a advertising agency, but she no longer works there because of how mean she was to her co-workers, and because of this they fired her. So now she's pretty much retired over the years, and she realizes that she's getting old and eventually she knows she's going to die. So she decides to go to the local newspaper, since she knew the editor there at one time, and talks to the editor, even though it's not the same editor anymore. It's now the editor's son that now is the editor, and asks to have the reporter that is in charge of doing obituaries to write her own obituary. And she would have this reporter, Anne Sherman, played by Amanda Seyfried, come around with her and get to know her and get to know the people around her so she can write a good obituary for her, for Harriet Lawler. And that's pretty much the movie. These two become friends and they help each other become better people throughout the movie. I have to say, I really did like this movie. Shirley MacLaine is great in this movie. I mean, she's basically being herself, and this is really not much different than some of the parts she's done before, even though the only movie I know her from that I've seen her in is Steel Magnolia, is the most famous movie she's known for. But I could tell that she's pretty much just being herself, really. And Amanda Seyfried is great in this movie. These two had great friendship chemistry, and there's a point in this movie where a little girl becomes part of the group whose character's name is Brenda, and she is really good in this movie too. I really did like her. I did like the fact that Shirley MacLaine's character becomes a bit more likable, and you do understand why she is so mean, because she really had to work hard in order to get ahead, since the time period that she was working in, it was seen as a man's world, and she wanted to prove herself that she can still be a working woman in the days of the 50s and 60s and all that. And does this role so darn well. I really did like the way she played this part. Harriet decides to try some new things. One of the things she decides to try is to be a DJ for a radio station that Anne Sherman likes to listen to. Harriet just decides to play some classic rock like the Kinks, and she ends up being very good at it. She also helps Anne Sherman find a love interest, one of the DJs at the radio station, and they seem to hit it off pretty well and had some good chemistry, what little screen time he got. Another thing I did like about this movie is the man that plays her ex-husband, I should say, Philip Baker Hall, and his character's name is Edward. He was really good in this movie. I really did like him. And then there's the scene where we meet Harriet's daughter, played by Anne Heche. And I thought she was really good in this movie for the one scene that she gets, which is the real negative movie. You only get to see one scene with Harriet's daughter, and I wanted a little bit more with her daughter. I wanted to get to know her daughter a little bit more, because you find out that her daughter has children, which means Harriet Lawler is a grandmother. And it would be nice to see Harriet Lawler meet her grandchildren for the first time. but you don't get to see that in this movie, and that is a real disappointment to me. I really wanted to see that scene, and it doesn't happen in this movie, so that really disappointed me. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but overall, I really did like this movie. So I'm gonna give this movie a B+. It's definitely worth checking out, and that's all I gotta say for The Last Word.